Good morning, boys and girls. How are you today? Oh, you scared me. Oh, Mary May, you scared me. How are you this morning?
Great.
Oh, well, I was about to have my breakfast and I couldn't find a banana. I want to ask you, have you ever had a time, Mary Manning, when you couldn't find any food to eat?
No.
No? Never?
Never.
Well, today we're going to hear a story about a time when the disciples and Jesus had 5,000 people around them who were starving and hungry. Are you ready to listen?
Yeah.
Okay, let's listen.
Hello. We're so glad to be here, right? All right. I have a picture of some things you might see every once in a while. Can you tell me what these are? Tell me what some of them are. What is like that?
Signs.
Okay, but what is this one?
A stoplight.
A stop sign. What's that one?
Red light, green light, and yellow light.
And that helps us to know to go or to stop or to slow down, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that one is telling us, do you know what that one says? Because it's got an arrow.
It says go this way.
That's right, only one way. All right, so these are all what now? They're all
Signs.
signs, that's right. And in the Bible, there are a lot of signs from God that are actually, they're miracles. Are you ready to read a story about one? This is one of the coolest miracles that happened. Are you ready? All right, it's called Jesus Feeds 5,000. Do you know how many zeros are after 5,000? After the 5 and 5,000. You want to count? Look. 1, 2, 3.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
So 5,000 is a very big number. Can you imagine feeding 5,000 people?
Nope.
I only have to feed 3, and it's
2,
pretty
3,
hard
4,
some days.
5,
All right, so are you ready to listen to the story? Okay. It was a beautiful sunny day as Jesus and his disciples crossed the Sea of Galilee in a boat with white sails. Jesus had been healing sick people, and many more people of all ages came to see him again that day. Maybe they could hear more of Jesus' stories or see him show God's power through another miracle. When Jesus saw the large crowd of men, women, and children, he asked his friend Philip, how are we going to get enough food to feed all these people? Do you remember how many people it was?
500.
Close. 5,000. 5,000.
That would take forever to
It
count.
would be hard. Philip answered, I could work for 6 months and not earn enough money to buy food for all of these men, women, and children. And there's the number if you can see it. It's a really big number.
The hugest, maybe.
It is a huge number. The disciples didn't know what to do. Just then, Andrew pointed to a young child and said, here is a boy who has 5 small loaves of bread and 2 fish. Now, do you think that's enough?
No.
Okay. Good to know. It is something, but it certainly isn't enough food for all these people.
But they could give it to some of them and then get more and more.
That's a thought. The boy looked very nervous as he said in a small voice, Jesus, please take my food if you think it will help. Jesus took the 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish that the boy offered, and he asked his friends to have the crowd sit down. About 5,000 people sat in the grassy meadow by the lake that day. After Jesus gave thanks, he blessed the 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, and then he shared the food with all of the people that were there that day. All 5,000 people ate until they were full.
But that was only a few.
I like that you recognized that is not enough. Because guess what? Do you know what that's called?
What?
A miracle! It's called a miracle!
Maybe they
All right,
gather
wait,
and
listen.
gather.
There's more of the story. Then Jesus said, now let's gather up all the leftovers. And do you know what? There were enough leftover pieces of bread to fill 12 large baskets. More loaves and fishes left over than the boy had given to Jesus. The disciples shook their head in disbelief as they struggled to pick up the baskets heavy with food. The people saw the full baskets of leftovers and began to understand that something extraordinary had just happened. And another miracle. Jesus smiled as he heard people say, God must have sent Jesus to us. It was a day the boy, the disciples, and all of the people would never forget. So Jesus took this small amount of food, and how many people did he feed?
All of the people.
Do you remember the number?
5,000.
5,000, which is a humongous number. So that is a miracle. That is a sign from who, do you think?
God.
That's right. That's right. So today we are going to make some. What did they feed the people with in here?
Fish and bread.
Bread. We are going to make some bread. Can you think of another time we have bread at church? Do we eat bread at church? Do we ever eat bread at church?
Yes.
When?
When?
During what? We have wine and we have
Bread.
That's right. In communion, right? Yeah. And so we also use this as a symbol in our church. So are you ready to go get our ingredients? Okay, let's go get them. Okay. So what do we have here? We have a bunch of different ingredients,
yes.
Right? Because we're going to make bread. So we have flour, honey, oleo, baking soda, whole wheat bread, milled flour, and then you need water, a little salt, and the exact recipe is going to be on the website. But this is how we're going to make bread. So can you start stirring that up for me, please? Thank you very much. So the neat thing about bread, this story that we heard today, very good. It is the only miracle that is in all 4 of our Gospels. So do you think that's probably a big deal? It's a huge deal. That's right. And so the way Jesus describes it is that he is the bread of life. Just like we need bread and food to survive, we need God and Jesus, right? Mm-hmm. And so that is why we take communion every Sunday, is just like food nourishes us. That communion, that special time at church is also something that nourishes our soul. So anyway, I hope y'all have a great time making some bread, and I'll see y'all
Or catching fish.
Or catching fish. Good thought. And I'll see y'all next week. Bye, guys.
Mary Manning, that bread you all made smelled delicious.
And it also tastes good when we ate it.
It did. Wow. Well, we'll have to get the recipe for everybody else. Listen, at church, what do we do every single Sunday?
Eat bread.
We do, and we drink a little wine. Do you know why we do that?
Why?
Because Jesus said that he is the bread of life, and we believe that through that bread and wine, we get a little bit of the bread of life, we get a little bit of Jesus each week, and that makes us stronger. Do you like taking the bread and the wine? Yeah, me too.
It's so tasty.
It's so tasty. Well, this week, boys and girls, I hope you will come to church and take communion with all of us. But if you can't, just know that Jesus is always with you anyway. Jesus is our bread of life no matter what. Until then, see you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you.